All right, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, everybody. So last time we were actually talking about Salah. We just started talking about Salah. There was really a lot more details to talk about in terms of Salah. So today, inshallah, we will be continuing talking about Salah. We talked about Al-Fatiha. We talked about what the Fatiha was meaning. And we started at that part. But today, inshallah, we're going to be jumping just a little bit with the Adan or the Adhan. And we'll talk about when we speak about the Adhan, what that really means and the different rulings of Adhan. So Adhan is basically the announcement to that we're starting the Salah, the announcement to start Salah. Now, generally speaking, it has certain words. We're going to talk about what those words are in just a bit. So what is Al-Adhan? Al-Adhan is basically, when you say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So this is Al-Adhan. It's basically starting the Salah. Why is Al-Adhan even in those words? What do the words actually contain? So Al-Qurtubi, who is a very important was a very important scholar, one of my favorite scholars, he actually said that Al-Adhan actually contains a number of different things, in where when you say Allahu Akbar, you're taking a moment to recognize the magnificence of Allah Almighty. So you're really living the words, you're embracing the words and all the connection between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's actually called Aqidah. When you actually connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in understanding what these words mean, and where you're connecting with understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you understand His magnificence, you understand He's great, you understand that He is your main focus, He is your center focus. So that's when you actually then take in that recognition of the existence of Allah Almighty and His highness and magnificence. So you live and embrace Tawheed. What is Tawheed? It's really the oneness of the Lord Almighty. The second part of the Adhan is Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So that we're talking about Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And the second part of it is really to confess that Muhammad ﷺ is the Prophet of Allah Almighty. Being the Prophet of Allah Almighty, you're basically connecting yourself. Well, what does it mean to believe in the magnificence of the Lord Almighty? What does it mean to actually connect with the magnificence of the Lord Almighty? It has a practice. So what is the practice? I'm connecting with the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm connecting with believing in the prophethood of the Prophet ﷺ, in order for me to understand what my Islam means. So when you actually take that moment to recognize two things, Allahu Akbar, which is part of Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and then Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. In other words, when you're making the Adhan, you're actually reviving your Islam. It's like you're becoming a new Muslim every single time. What is the virtue? What is the importance of Adhan? So the importance of Adhan, Abu Hurairah. Who's Abu Hurairah? Just an idea about Abu Hurairah. There were some Sahaba, yarhamkumullah, that were actually called Ahl Suffa. Let's remember the name. They were called Ahl Suffa. Who are Ahl Suffa? Well, Ahl Suffa, they basically used to be the homeless Sahaba. When they migrated to Medina, so from Mecca to Medina, going north, they basically had no place to sleep but the masjid. They had no place to basically work in, because they were too poor to afford a house. They were too poor to afford anywhere. So part of these Sahaba were actually like Abu Hurairah, who was part of Ahl Suffa. He became Muslim in the seventh year Hijrah. His name was Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr. One story about Abu Hurairah, he really wanted his mom to become Muslim. Okay, we're just telling you about these names. I want you to just remember these names. Abu Hurairah really wanted his mother to become Muslim, but every time he would do da'wah to her, she is just not getting it. So one time he went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "Can you make dua for my mom to become Muslim?" He goes to the Prophet ﷺ because he knows that the Prophet ﷺ basically is a prophet of Allah. His dua is a blessing. So he went, the Prophet ﷺ made wudu, and he started raising his hands, making the dua for Abu Hurairah's mom to become Muslim. He comes back home. He's like, okay, I guess it'll happen one day. Right at the doorstep, his mom was actually standing there, telling him, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Right away, the Prophet's dua was instantly answered, and she actually greets her son Abu Hurairah with the shahada right in his face. Now, what did he quote? Abu Hurairah happens to be one of the most important Sahaba that actually had the highest narrations of hadith, over 7,000 hadith. Abu Hurairah, he actually used to sit, because he was in the masjid, part of Ahl al-Sufa, he would sit next to the Prophet ﷺ many times, just repeating and trying to memorize those words and repeating what he had memorized the Prophet ﷺ say. So what did he?
Abu Hurairah, because he had a cat, right?
He was good one. So Abu Hurairah used to love cats, and the reason why he was called Abu Hurairah was because the Prophet ﷺ actually named him after the pet that he always had, and the pets that he always used to have, which is a cat. Look at that, it's so beautiful. So what did he quote? What did he hear the Prophet ﷺ say? لو يعلم الناس ما في الأذان والصف الأول ثم لم يجدوا إلا أن يستهموا عليه لاستهموا ولو يعلمون ما في التهجير لاستبقوا إليه ولو يعلمون ما في العتمة والصبح لأتوهما ولو حبوا. What did he hear the Prophet ﷺ say? He heard him say, if people would have known the importance of al-adhan. What is the importance of al-adhan? In other words, to be there and even hear the adhan being called, or even do the adhan, and to be in the first row in the masjid, even if they were to do like a draw to beat, and in order to be in the first place, they would have done so. It's like, oh, we're doing like a lottery type of thing on who is actually in the beginning. And if they would have actually known when it comes to migrating to Medina, they would have actually beat and race to it. In other words, that's the real competition. Who's going to be in the masjid first? Who's going to be coming into the first row in the masjid? And even if they were to know what would be the reward of al-atma. What is al-atma? Darkness. What? We're supposed to go for dark. This is actually talking about the dark times of Aysha. In fact, during Judgment Day, there's going to come a time where everything is going to be just pitch black dark. But they will have one mission to do. They have to find their path to go to As-Sirat in order to get to Jannah. But how are they going to do it when it's so pitch black? They've only got one radiant, if they actually have it. What is that radiance? That radiance is going to be their own nur. Their own light is going to be their own flashlight. So what is their own light? What light? The light of their dhikr, the light of their salah. In fact, there is a hadith. Listen to this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ actually said that whoever walks to the masjid in darkness, when it's pitch black dark, what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them the light on Judgment Day. Whoever goes into the masjid during the dark, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will flip the darkness that they go to into complete white. Remember the hadith when the Prophet ﷺ actually said, when he was sitting with the Sahaba, and it was a full moon, and the Prophet ﷺ tells them, you see that moon up there? No, was it Ramadan? No. It's just, he was just sitting with the Sahaba. It was a during the time of like a dark night, but there was a full moon. And the Prophet ﷺ tells them, you see the moon up there? Yeah, we see it. It's a full moon. He said, by Allah, you will see Allah the way you will see the moon. And you would not even get close or even think of it as a blurry thing. In other words, you will see it just like you see that. But if you really want to get the blessing of seeing Allah Almighty, you need to actually make use of those dark nights to actually come and actually make their salat during the night. So here we go. He said, if they would have known the blessings of those dark moments and Fajr, they would have come to it, even if they were to come crawling to the masjid. All right. Now, look at this. It says, Rawahu al-Bukhari. Who's al-Bukhari? Al-Bukhari was actually a young boy at one time, and he actually had collected the most authentic hadith that the Prophet ﷺ narrated. Al-Bukhari, when we say this is narrated by Al-Bukhari, and if we were to say narrated by Muslim, this is the most authentic hadith that you could actually find. What else is about Al-Adan? Al-Adan, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan actually narrated that he heard the Prophet ﷺ actually say that those that actually do the Adan are actually have the longest necks on Judgment Day. Why is having a long neck on Judgment Day even fun? Why is that considered important? Well, go ahead, Hamza.
I just said I remember hearing this.
Look, okay. So the reason why they will have long necks is because they were taking the moment and they were sharing and informing others of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call, that it's time to pray. And the reason why they will have long necks is because on Judgment Day, people will actually sweat based on their sin. Just like at other times, they will actually have light when it's so dark, but what will make the light? It's basically their good deeds. What will make the sweat is basically the person's bad deeds. When the sun gets closer to the people on Judgment Day, people will sweat based on their bad deeds. So the people that used to do the Adan will basically have long necks to keep their heads away from the sweat that is actually from people's sins. So their necks will be long. So here, إن المؤذنين أطول الناس أعناقا يوم القيامة. البراء بن عازب, he actually said, إن الله وملائكته يصلون على الصف المقدم والمؤذن يغفر له مد صوته. Listen to this one, Hamza. You like doing Adan. Listen to this. That Allah in His malaika would actually shed their mercy. Now, when we say Allah, when we actually say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would actually shed His mercy on those that are in the first row. So if you're standing in the first row in the masjid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would actually shed His mercy on you. And not only Allah, but even the malaika will be making, Ya Allah, forgive them. Ya Allah, forgive them. Ya Allah, forgive them. They'll be making dua for you. And the person that's doing the Adan, as far as their voice is heard, even the things that are ratib or yabis. What does that mean? even the items that surround you, even if it's a tree that hears you, even if it's a broken branch, even if it's the things all around you, even if it's a crawling ant, even if it's a mouse, no matter what it is, if it's hearing you make the Adan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will actually give you the reward for every single thing that hears your words. Oh, Hamza. So when you do the Adan, every little thing that's around you on Judgment Day will say, I heard him do the Adan. I heard him do the Adan. I heard him announce that you are the greatest. I heard him do this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make those things be the witness for you. Abu Darda narrated a hadith. Listen to this. What did he say? So how many people should actually do the Adan? When do we do the Adan? And how do we do the Adan? So he said, every 3, they would do the Adan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, sorry, let me do it again. Sorry, I was focused on something else. Every 3, they would do the Adan, or if they don't do the Adan, if they 3 people together, and if they don't do the Adan, the shaitan would actually start controlling them. Why? Because if you're a group of 3 people, or even 2 people, you have to have a leader. In other words, why? Because you have to be organized. And the leader must be 1, the most experienced, 2, the educated one, 3, the one to be the most in their knowledge in the Quran. The most one to have knowledge in the Quran would actually get the privilege to be a leader, and the eldest. All right. So if there are 3 and they're together and they need to do the Adan, if they're actually together, they have to make sure that they're actually concerned about their salah. If they don't, the shaitan is going to be there to control them and to try to control them. All right, we're going to go faster right there because we don't have much time. In fact, there is a hadith, Uqba ibn Amir, a very important Sahabi who actually narrated the hadith. There is another hadith that Uqba ibn Amir narrated. Did you hear it yesterday? Uqba ibn Amir says, "O Prophet of Allah, how can I be saved from hellfire?" What did he say? He said, "Amsik alayka lisanak." Hold your tongue, reduce from the talk. Don't talk too much, because the second you talk too much, you're just going to get off track. And he said, and وَلْيَسَعَكَ بَيْتُكَ, and let your home be spacious enough for you. Why? And وَابْكِ عَلَى خَطِيئَتِكَ, and that will lead you to you weeping over your sin. So what did he also hear the Prophet ﷺ say? He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be amused even if a person was going off in camping, or probably a shepherd far away, but he would make the salah and even do the Adan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, look at my servant right there. He's making salah, he's making the Adan, and he fears me. I want everyone to witness. He would tell the malaika that I had forgiven my servant, and I will make him enter Jannah. So why was Adan actually done? How did they actually do it? So what happened is that the Sahaba, the Prophet ﷺ, there were certain times where they were supposed to join for Salah. So they were wondering, okay, well, how are we going to announce this? How are we going to announce Salah? Should we announce Salah using bells? Should we announce Salah using drums? Or should we announce Salah using horns? Or what should we do? Well, the ones to use horn are the Jews, and the ones to use bells are the Christians, and the ones to use drums are different religious groups. So they were still in debate on what they should be using, and that's when Later on, a couple Sahaba, they came to the Prophet ﷺ and said that they actually had a dream. And the dream was that they would actually do the Adan by calling out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Now, they had those dreams, and the Prophet ﷺ, for one of them, he actually came and said, teach Bilal how to do it. Bilal, why Bilal out of all the Sahaba? What is some information about Bilal? Let's look at Bilal. His name was Bilal ibn Rabah. What about him? His mom's name was Hamama. Bilal was actually both. One, his mother was originally from Ethiopia. His mother was a black slave. His father was actually an Arabi man who disowned Bilal. Now, Bilal, having an African descent from his mother's side, the Prophet ﷺ, when the other Sahabi, Jabir ibn Abdullah, said, can I be the one to do the Adan? The Prophet ﷺ said, he has a nicer voice. Bilal ibn Rabah continues to be the most important person to do the Adan. Well, it wasn't just Bilal that was doing the Adan. No, Jibreel was an angel. All right. So Bilal, hold on, you guys. Bilal was taught by the Prophet ﷺ and the other Sahaba on what they had seen in the dream, on how to do the Adan. This is a little bit of information. Bilal was amongst the early Muslims. Remember that Umayyah ibn Khalaf, when he started to actually put that huge rock over Bilal, and Bilal, he didn't know much about Islam, but he only knew one thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. So whenever they would tell him, say U'lu Hubal, say Hubal is God, he would just say, Ahadun, Ahad. Ahadun, Ahad, and bang, he would slap him again. But all he would say is Ahadun, Ahad. Bilal, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, for 2 years during the time of Abu Bakr, he continues to make the Adan in Medina. But never was Bilal later able to do the Adan after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. He was not able to do it. He just couldn't. Whenever he would start to do the Adan, he would remember the Prophet ﷺ and he would start crying, remembering whenever he would say, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, he would not be able to continue the Adan. He would fall in tears. The only time that he had done Adan after that moment, after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, 2 years after, and the death of the Prophet ﷺ, was when the Muslims conquered Bayt al-Maqdis. Where's Bayt al-Maqdis? Where's Bayt al-Maqdis, you guys? Saudi? Where is it? Palestine? Al-Aqsa? Somalia? Mogadishu? Where is it? Come on, you guys. Where's Palestine? Bayt al-Maqdis. It's in Palestine. It's in Palestine. Palestine, you guys, is pretty much, listen to this. Palestine is the place where I even studied Sharia. I studied Sharia. Sharia is basically the study of Islam. The study of Islam. The other person who was doing the Adan, his name was Abu Mahadura. Abu Mahadura. How did the Prophet ﷺ come across Abu Mahadura? You know, there are these guys, they would stand together and sometimes playing, and sometimes one of them is having a good time and just starting to sing and all that stuff. The Prophet ﷺ meets Abu Mahadura and he recognizes that this teenager has a beautiful voice. And he was singing to the guys. They were having this, guy time. And the Prophet ﷺ sees Abu Mahadura and he recognizes it's got a beautiful voice. He puts his hand on his chest and then teaches him how to do the Adan. Abu Mahadura later becomes the second most important person to do the Adan. The third most important person to do the Adan was Ibn Maktoum. Who is this guy, Ibn Maktoum? Ibn Maktoum was actually disabled. He was actually blind. Ibn Maktoum was blind and an old man. In fact, Ibn Maktoum was sent along with Suhaib al-Rumi, Mus'ab ibn Umair, sorry, Mus'ab ibn Umair was sent with Mus'ab ibn Umair to Medina. You know how old Mus'ab ibn Umair was? 15
years old.
He was only 15 years old, and it was just Mus'ab ibn Umair and Ibn Maktoum that were actually sent to Medina when there were no Muslims. He was only 15 or 16 years old. good job, 15 or 16 years old when he went to Medina. It was just Mus'ab ibn Umair and it was just Ibn Maktoum. They had one mission. You're going off to that city because they were supposed to be delivering the message of Islam. And they delivered the message of Islam. And the following year, 73 people had actually embraced Islam through Mus'ab ibn Umair in Medina. He was just a young teenager, but when Islam comes in, this teenager becomes a leader. Right, you guys? A teenager becomes a leader. He ain't any kind of a teenager. He's a man, and he's a teenager, but with the mind of a leader. A mind with a leader. So if we were to see Mus'ab ibn Umair, barely had beard on his face. He was just a young little boy. He was still a teenager. Right, let's continue. So Nafi', so that was Bilal ibn Rabah, and that was the story of the Adan right there. Let's move on, you guys. All right, so this is just the story of the Adan right there. So how is the Adan actually done? Hamza, this is for you. Come over here. Yalla habibi. Adan, how was it done? Now, there are 3 different ways to do the Adan. Okay? 3 different ways to do the Adan. Number 1 is to make the takbir. I'm going to write to make the takbir for Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. You can beautify your voice in however you want it. Okay? But you don't want to add letters on it. Like Allahu Akbar. No, you're making a who. All right? You're making a who right there. That's not right. So you can make the takbir 4 and everything else is 2, 2, 2, 2. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, ashhadu anna, and then you would beautify it and extend it the way you want. Okay? Now, and when you look at the second one is to make the takbir 4 and to actually make ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and that's basically called it tarjiyah. All right? Now, then you basically make ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah in a low voice. So Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But when you come to ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, you basically not ashhadu an la ilaha, no, not in a loud voice. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah in a low voice. Okay? So this is the second way. The third way is to make the Allahu Akbar, making it 2, and then you're making ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, etc. And then that would actually make it 17 words. So what does that look like? And that was the Adan of Abu Mahadura, in where he does Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and then ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah, each one 2 times, and then Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. You see it? So just to see it. Now, there are these different ways. The preponderant is that the Adan is actually to be 4 in the takbir, 2 in every single thing, and not necessarily بلا ترجيع. So the ترجيع is أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. Let's see. Abu Mahadura and Ibn Maktoum. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's continue. There is something that we do for the Adan during Fajr. You know what? I'm actually going to have you hear, all right? We're going to actually hear the Adan of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, and I want you to close your eyes and imagine, or you can look at it if you want. It's okay, you can look at it. And I want you guys here to just, okay, we're going to hear the Adan. And remember, this is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, a very dear place. And Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa right now is under the Israeli occupation. And Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa is the first place that Bilal ibn Rabah makes the Adan after. Ready to hear the Adan?
Yes.
Let's hear it. You can look at it, or you can close your eyes. This is exactly what Al-Adan al-Masjid Al-Aqsa sounds like.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا
يهديكم. So after that, then you guys, we shouldn't be clapping. We'll learn what we're supposed to be doing. That's okay. All right. So the other thing is that there is something that would be added to the Adan, all right, which is only during Fajr. So what is that? What we add is as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. As-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. So that was basically done. All right, that was done by Abu Mahadura, who actually said that the Prophet ﷺ actually taught him to do that. When? Only after the Fajr Adan. So what does it actually mean? Well, number one is that this is called a Deathweb. What is a Deathweb? A Deathweb is to be done, as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm, to actually say, Salah is better than sleep, Salah is better than sleep, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. So when the Mu'adhan actually does the Adan, do we clap like these young ladies have actually clapped? Or what should we actually do? So that's what we're going to learn. Don't worry, we're not going to yell at them. They're still learning. Good job. So we're going to tell you what we need to do. All right. So what about after the Adan? So after the Adan, we're getting ready to actually go and actually do al-iqama. What is al-iqama? Al-iqama is قد قامت الصلاة, قد قامت الصلاة, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. This is al-iqama. So how do we actually do al-iqama? Do we do al-iqama with one? Do we do the 4 takbir and 2 for the rest of the things? So what does that actually look like? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So we're talking Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's 4. And then Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So that's Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. This is 2 times. And then Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. This is 2 times. Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And then Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah. This is 2 times. Hayya ala al-falah, Hayya ala al-falah. This is 2 times. Qad qamat as-salah, Qad qamat as-salah. 2 times right there. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. This is the iqamah. Let's do it again. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. So that way we would know how we're going to do it. So we're going to do Allahu Akbar 4 times. Let's do it. That's 4 times. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. 2 times. Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. 2 times. Hayya ala salah 2 times. Hayya ala al-falah 2 times. قد قامت الصلاة, قد قامت الصلاة 2 times. Well, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. So this is the iqama. But for the adhan, you actually want to extend it. And you're pausing in between every dhikr. You're pausing. You're pausing. But for the iqama, you're actually doing it in a fast way. Now, why are we doing that in a fast way? Because you are now getting yourself ready. Now, questions that we might actually come in is that number one is that what kind of dhikr do we actually do while the adhan is happening? Number one, when the mu'adhin is saying Allahu Akbar, you're going to do the same exact words. So if the mu'adhin is saying Allahu Akbar, you're going to say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. If he's saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, you're going to say exactly what he's saying. So what about when he says Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala al-falah? You're going to say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Why are we saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah? What does that actually mean? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah means there is no power beyond Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power. What does that have to do with anything? Well, you're basically coming and recognizing that even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling you for salah, He's not the one that's benefiting from your salah. You are actually benefiting from your own salah. And therefore, even if all the people would come, and even if all the people would join, at the end of the day, You are actually going for your ibadah for your own sake, meaning for your own good. But you have the ikhlas, you have the sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why are we saying la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah? It's just to let you recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you come to salah, you don't empower Allah. You empower yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need for your salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually asking you to come for salah because for your own benefit. So we say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ actually said, even if لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم, even if all the people and all the humans and all the jinn were to all gather and actually be at like the heart of the best person and the best person on earth, it would not add anything to the power or even the ownership and the kingdom of the Lord Almighty. Won't add anything. And even if all the people, the humans and the jinn, were as bad as the worst person in the world, or even from the humans and the jinn, it would not reduce from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power whatsoever. But just to imagine, like if you were to put a needle and put it inside the sea and it comes out, will that actually make the sea become less? It won't make the sea become less. So now that actually comes to us where Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, listen to this. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is one of my favorite Sahaba. Listen to what he said. Listen to this. Why is it important to say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah? Look at and listen to what Abu Musa al-Ash'ari heard the Prophet ﷺ say. Who is Abu Musa al-Ash'ari anyways? All right, I'll explain to you who Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, along with Abu Malik al-Ash'ari, and along with approximately 20 guys, they were all Yemeni guys from Yemen. All right, these Yemeni guys heard about the Prophet ﷺ. And then they decided, they want to become Muslim. So they decided, well, let's go and head to Mecca. But you know what that actually means? That actually means crossing a huge wide desert. I want you guys to imagine in your head, all right? Yemen is way in the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula. In other words, in order to get to Mecca, they actually have to go through what is actually called the Death Valley.
It's very hot.
Not only the heat can go up to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why it's called the Death Valley. You know why? Because nothing is living there. It's just the Death Valley. It is just a huge area of nothing but sand. You'll easily get lost there. So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he decided whatever it takes, we're going to go and actually meet the Prophet himself. So off he goes, but he decided instead of to go into the Death Valley, let's actually take the Red Sea. Why did he want to take the Red Sea? So let's just look at it right there. We're going to go back just a little bit so you guys can actually see what we're talking about. We're just going to get you a map in order for you to see of what this whole thing is looking like, okay? So hold on, okay? We're going to get a map of Middle East. Let's do it that way. Not Middle Earth, but Middle East. I'm going to get it so we could actually see it and you could see what we're talking about. So here we go. Look at this right there. So they were actually in Yemen. They decided that, well, this is the Death Valley. They did it. Here's Mecca right there. They decided if we were to take the Death Valley, it's going to be too dangerous for us. So they basically decide to take the route of the sea. The route of the sea. So off they go. They see a ship. Let's go. We're going to go into the ship and actually go northwards and then probably take that way. But guess what? Yep, they decided to go this way and then to go here. But guess what? The boat actually takes them here instead of here. Guess they lost their compass. I know what? How and what exactly? It actually takes them here instead of here. And then here, they actually meet a group of Sahaba that were usually there mostly. So we're looking at approximately 7 of the companions had already ran away from Mecca. And they actually already long couple years back, they already had fled to Abyssinia at the time it was called. They go here, and then the other Sahaba, when they come over here by mistake, the Sahaba that had already ran away from Mecca because of the torture and the persecution that they were facing, they recommended the Sahaba that were in Ethiopia, they recommended and told them, listen, it's far too dangerous for you to go back to Mecca. Too dangerous. These people will persecute you. They will kill you. So they told them, stay with us in Ethiopia. And sure enough, they did. When the Prophet ﷺ migrated, when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, well, it's more closer to here than there, but yeah, when he migrated to Medina, that's when every single Muslim on earth was supposed to be heading to Medina in order to join the Muslim group. One day the Prophet ﷺ was with the Muslims and that was right there in Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ tells the Sahaba, tomorrow you're going to get a group of Sahaba that will have hearts, قلوبهم أنقى للإسلام منكم. You're going to have a group of men whose hearts are actually purer to Islam than you. Who do they get the second day? They get Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and Abu Malik al-Ash'ari. They get those Sahaba. This is just for us to see when we talk about Abu Malik al-Ash'ari and what they needed, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and what they needed to get to. So what did he say? He said, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله is كنز من كنوز الجنة. Just the word, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Just that dhikr. When you actually say, there is no power beyond the Lord Almighty's power, you repeat that whenever the mu'adhin is saying, Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah. He said, this is just in its own, is actually one major treasure in Jannah. Is that an authentic hadith? Let's find out. It is narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. Do you think by something being narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, do you think it's narrated, it's authentic? It is the highest level of an authentic hadith. Anything narrated by Bukhari and Muslim both together, this is the highest level. All right. So what should we do when we're actually doing the Adan? So whether you had wudu or whether you didn't have wudu, say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Whether you had your cycle or whether you are young, whether you're a female, whether you are male, say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What if I was in the bathroom? When you get out the bathroom, say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. All right. So, or you're in a special situation, ladies, you know what I mean, with your husband, don't say it during that moment, but it's actually a sunnah to repeat that Adan. All right. When you're on your period, it's okay to do the Adan, to do la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah and to repeat after that. All right. So this is just to keep that in mind. So what are some of the things that we need to do while we're making the Adan? Number one is that after the Adan, the Prophet ﷺ actually said, when the Adan finishes, this is what you need to do. You're going to say this in the green. This in the green. When you're doing the Adan, you're going to say the following. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. That's it. All right. What does that even mean? It means the Lord of this great call and the salah that we will be observing now. Give Muhammad al-wasila wal-fadila. What is al-wasila wal-fadila? It's a certain position. What position? We're going to explain it. And give him the position that you had promised him. And the Prophet ﷺ said, that person will actually have the right to get to the shafa'ah. Shafa'ah, what is that? We're going to explain it now. Ready to know about the shafa'ah? Let's look. There are different narrations but this is the most authentic, inshallah. Oh, nothing is shown here. Why not? I just opened it. Hold on. I want you guys to see this one, okay? Just so that we would understand the shafa'ah and why is that even important. We're going to be, here we go. Pay attention to this one. So when you look at, okay, we've done this before, but I still want you guys to see it. So here we go. This is al-mu'min and al-kafir. Now, this is the mu'min and the kafir. Of course, we've got the dunya, and in the dunya, which is the life that we're living in, there's the path of a mu'min and there's the path of a kafir. They will both go through death. Okay, both go through death, nothing different. Now, in the grave, the graves are not going to be the same, because for a mu'min, the grave is going to be a place that is not scary for a believer. Why? Because for a believer, their grave is going to be one piece of Jannah. Rawda min riyad al-Jannah. It's going to be like a garden of Jannah. But for a person that's not a believer, they will actually be facing in where that grave is going to be a piece of hellfire. In other words, it's going to be a ditch of hellfire. Then later, we've got, when we wake up from death, what happens? Who wakes us up from death? Then later, we would basically hear in nafkh fis-sur. In nafkh fis-sur means that the horn is blown in it. By who? By Israfil, an angel. His name is Israfil. He will blow into the horn, and then everyone from their grave would actually be recreated from what? From a tailbone. You will grow like a plant, like a seed, and this tailbone is at the end of your vertebra, right there. It's like a small seed that does not decompose, and you will actually grow in the beginning like a plant, in where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send water, and this water is going to be what will irrigate that seed, which is the tailbone, and you will be recreated. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order Israfil to blow again in the horn in order to make people's souls come back to them. And when their souls come back to them, that's when their souls come back to them, that is when they will recognize that judgment day has actually started. But right here, okay, this is when the malaika will line people up. Listen up, everyone. Malaika will line people up. Look at this. People will be, the believers, they'll be aware. Yeah, we knew this was going to happen. It's not like we didn't know this was going to happen. The believers will be aware of it. The disbelievers will get up and say, oh no, what just happened? من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون. Who got us out of this sleep? Who got us out? We thought we were just sleeping. And then they will say, this is what we were promised. This is what we were told about. And that's when they will line up. The standing will be for 50 to 100,000 years. just standing. Standing. What next? What's going to happen next? That's why it's called Yawm al-Qiyamah. Why Yawm al-Qiyamah? The day of standing and standing. 50,000, 100,000 years with that long, long, long standing. During this long standing, the sun would actually be not this sun that you see, but something like this sun, in where it will be close to people. What does this space even look like? It is going to be nothing but plain white ground where no one will be able to hide or run. There's no whatsoever hill, mountain, or tree, or anything. It is just a white space, plain space with nothing there whatsoever. No malls, no nothing. What? No walls, no nothing. It's just white open space. Now, white open space, this is the place of Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is the space of Yawm al-Qiyamah. People standing there. That's when Judgment Day will actually literally begin. The sun will be so close onto the people. And people are like, this is too hot. There will be some people that will actually have a shade. You know, amongst these people, one, a person that is Imamun Adil, a person that is a just leader. That's number one. Number two, listen to this. Number two, a person that grew up always. What are they connected to? They're connected to the masjid. Why are they connected? What does it mean connected to the masjid? You've got a rope and connect them to the masjid? No. They're always wanting to be at the masjid for salah. Three, a guy who actually gets a beautiful lady coming to him and says, hey, handsome guy. But he says, ma'adallah. Or a pretty girl, this guy who is important, charming, whatever it is, and he comes to, wants her basically outside of marriage, and she says, a'udhu billah. Another person is a person, they were sitting alone in this space, and they just remembered the magnificence of Allah Almighty, and they started getting tears in their eyes when they remembered the magnificence of Allah Almighty. Number six, a person who actually did a sadaqah, and this sadaqah, this donation that they had done, they were so secretive about it. They didn't want anybody to know about it. So they basically do the sadaqah, and the hadith says, even his left hand doesn't even know what his right hand had done. And there's someone else. And the reason why I delayed him is because I want you all to know about him, especially all of you. A young man or a young girl, even from their early childhood, they were always connected to their Islam. Why talk about the young generation? Because the young generation, you would get a lot of different things that are trying to take you away and distract you away from Islam. Games, attraction, trends, TikTok, all these different things are trying to take away and distract you away from Islam. But the person that's connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically going to be one of these people that are going to be under the shade of Allah Almighty. Then people get so tired. This is taking too long. We've been standing for more than 50,000 years. We can't handle this anymore. So they go to Prophet Adam. Can you ask Allah to make this go faster? And then they go to Prophet Nuh. Then they go to Prophet Ibrahim. And each one is saying, I can't. I just want myself to be out of this. And each one will then say, well, There was one man we know that made the dua, that invoked the Lord Almighty to be the one, to be there, to actually make this start and bring an end to the situation that we're in. Who is it? They would say, it's Muhammad. Go to him. So the Prophet ﷺ would make a long prostration where the Lord Almighty will inspire him to call the Lord Almighty by magnificent names. And then the Lord Almighty, after the long prostration that he will do, he'll ask him and tell him, what is your request? Make the dua. And even if you were to ask for the intercession, we will give it to you. Tushafa. Then that's when it's shafa'ah. But who actually gets the intercession? Only a believer. There will be some people that will actually want to get to this, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, no, you don't know what they had done after you. That's when he will actually start the day of Judgment Day. The day of Judgment Day, well, people will actually be held accountable. So what will happen? There will be these deeds that they will actually have. What are those deeds? That are angels on your left and angels on your right that are recording every single thing you do. Those recorded tablets, those are the things that contained every single thing that you had on Judgment Day. You'll be standing and your hands, you can't even move them, and the tablets they'll be, or the books will that contained all the different things that you had done will be flying up above you, but you would have no power to grab any book. And you would be aware that if the book actually had more good deeds, it will fall in your right hand. If your book contained more bad deeds, it will fall in your left hand. The person that got the book in their right hand, they will be boasting in front of everybody and saying, hey, umu kitabiya, everyone, come and see what my book contains. I knew. I knew that this day will actually come. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. These people, they will end up in Jannah. Now, but not too fast. They've still got other stations. But the person that got the book in their left hand, they will say, يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ. I wish I never got the book. يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ وَلَمْ أَدْرِ مَا حِسَابِي. I wish I never had known what I had done. I wish this was the end of it. يا ليتها كانت القاضية ما أغنى عني مالي. Now all the money is no good to me, cannot help me in any way. هلك عني سلطانية. All the power and all the authority is now gone. It won't help me in any way. That's when, all right, time to weigh the deeds and the bad deeds and the good deeds. Now that will take them to station 2, where they will actually meet and have their deeds get weighed. Are they lining up? Are they weighing things? Well, you'll all right now, each and every single one of us is actually having a certain meter of how long you will live, how much of your rizq and how much money you'll be getting, and everything you've got in each and every single one of us actually has a special scale. Is it going to be hard on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to all get a scale and weigh all of us? Absolutely not. And then that's when, so everyone's going through this, but then for a believer, they will actually get to drink, finally, get to drink from a kawthar, from al-kawthar, which is actually a station in where it is like a lake, in where the water will actually be coming from Jannah. And this is like a little river coming from Jannah and making like a lake. This is called al-kawthar. And they will, the believers only will be drinking from al-kawthar. but not too fast, believers. Yes, you drink from Al-Kawthar and you will never get thirsty because this river is actually coming all the way from Jannah. It will, after the scorching heat and after this long wait, you are now dead thirsty. But guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already slaughtered death and said, there's no more death anymore. So now, while you're drinking the water right there, then comes the believers. And what about the munafiqeen? How did they come about? For the munafiqeen, they will actually be rejected. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح.
Sister Aisha, are you breaking for Salah?
Yeah, we're in just a bit. No, they take some time to do salah, but we're going to actually continue until they start the actual salah. Takes them some time to start the actual salah.
Okay, no problem.
All right, let's continue. So for the munafiqeen, they'll actually skip al-hawd. They'll actually be skipping the lake. Why? They won't be getting the opportunity and the advantage of drinking from the lake. That's when, for the believers, still not too fast to go to Jannah yet. Are you guys with me? You guys want me to take a break? You want me to take a break? Looks like they want us to take a break a little bit.
Then I can also go and do Isha. So I'm running late with that.
Okay, so I guess we'll take a break. Perfect. Oh, I guess everybody wants we'll take a prayer time break, inshallah. And here we go. We'll do it like this. Is it break or break? Yeah, I keep on forgetting. What? That's the right break. This is the break.
It don't look like it's spelled right.
I know. I don't know why. Is it a? I thought this was a brake for the car brakes.
Yeah, for the break.
That's for the car brake, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is for the brake. No.
No, it's E.
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
No, this
The
is it.
other
This is
break
it.
is,
How long is the break for? So I think it's gonna be like 20 minutes, right?
Depends when are we praying?
When are we praying? Hopefully they could.
Because I think we're gonna pray now.
I think we're gonna pray now. So let's do like 20-minute break, inshallah. So we'll be then back at 12:50 maybe. So coming back at 12:50. And I will basically.
You want one, Sister Aisha?
What?
A cookie.
You want to give me a cookie?
Do you want one?
That'll be nice. So we'll be back in.